Most people walk past these homes every day and see nothing unusual. A front door, a letterbox, and maybe a tidy garden. But behind that door, an entire universe operates by rules older than most civilizations. Scrolls on every doorframe, 2 complete kitchens, an invisible boundary wire above the streets, and a garden room built once a year, gone in 7 days. A hidden bath measured to the liter, a life constructed meticulously around ancient law. Now let us begin. Number 10. We start with something small, something you would walk straight past without a second glance. Near the front door of most Jewish homes sits a box. It might be carved wood. It might be hand-painted ceramic passed down from a grandmother. Sometimes it is nothing more than a repurposed biscuit tin with a slot cut into the lid. Inside it are coins. This is a tzedakah box. And the word tzedakah does not translate as charity. It translates as justice. In Judaism, giving to those in need is not a generous impulse. It is a legal obligation. The Talmud, in Tractat Bava Batra, codifies this duty in binding terms. You do not give because you feel like it. You give because the law requires it. In the 12th century, the scholar Maimonides laid out 8 levels of giving that remain the framework to this day. The highest level is helping someone become self-sufficient. The lowest is giving reluctantly. According to the Institute for Jewish Policy Research in London, approximately 76% of British Jewish households give to charitable causes regularly. The national average sits closer to 56%. The Chief Rabbi's Office estimates more than 2,500 registered Jewish charities operate in the United Kingdom alone. A visitor sees a small box by the door and thinks nothing of it. They would not know that coins are dropped into it before Shabbat candles are lit every Friday evening. That children are taught to use it before they can read. This is not a collection tin. It is a standing legal obligation 3,000 years old, built into the furniture of daily life. A box by the front door is easy to overlook. But what about the object that sits beside every sink in the house? The one no guest has ever thought to ask about. Number 9. In the kitchen of a Jewish home, and often beside the bathroom basin as well, you will find a cup with 2 handles. It is usually made of metal or hard plastic. It is always within reach of the tap. Most visitors assume it is for drinking water. It is not. This is a Netilat Yadayim cup. It is used for the ritual washing of hands, and the ritual has nothing to do with hygiene. Water is poured from the cup over each hand alternately, 3 times over the right, 3 times over the left. The 2 handles exist so the cup can be held and poured without the clean hand touching the side the unwashed hand gripped. The laws governing this fill multiple chapters of the Shulchan Aruch, the primary code of Jewish law compiled by Rabbi Yosef Karo in 1563. The practice traces to the priests who served in the temple in Jerusalem, destroyed by the Romans in the year 70. Those priests washed their hands before performing sacred duties. When the temple fell, the rabbis made a remarkable decision. They transferred the sacred acts into the home. The dining table became the altar. The home became the temple. A guest sees a cup next to the sink and thinks nothing of it. They are holding a ritual instrument, performing the same function once reserved for the holiest building in the ancient world. A cup beside the sink is subtle, but there is something placed in the front window of a Jewish home once a year that is designed specifically to be seen by everyone. Number 8. Each year, usually in December, a 9-branched candelabrum appears in the front windows of Jewish homes across Britain. It is called a Chanukiah. It is not the 7-branched menorah of the ancient temple. This one has 9 branches. 8 for the nights of the festival, 1 for the servant candle used to light the others. What most people do not know is that this is one of the very few Jewish ritual objects required by law to be publicly visible. The Talmud specifies it must be placed at the entrance to the house on the outside, or if a family lives above ground level, in the window closest to the public street. This is not decoration. It is a legal obligation called Pirsumei Nisa, the publicizing of the miracle. The miracle dates to 164 BCE. The Maccabees, a small Jewish rebel force, rose against the Seleucid Greek Empire and recaptured the Second Temple in Jerusalem. They found only a single cruse of ritually pure olive oil, enough for one day. According to the Talmud, it burned for 8. The tradition of lighting the Chanukiah has been observed annually for over 2,100 years. The 2021 census recorded a Jewish population in Britain of approximately 292,000. In communities across Barnet, Hackney, Gateshead, and Leeds, entire streets glow with Chanukiot in windows every December. In 2023, the Community Security Trust recorded a sharp increase in anti-Semitic incidents during Chanukah. Some families moved their Chanukiot deeper into the house. Others placed them in the window anyway, as their ancestors had done for 21 centuries. Most neighbors see candles in a window in December and assume it has something to do with Christmas. They are looking at a 2,000-year-old act of religious defiance. A candelabrum in the window faces outward, but inside the home, there is a wall that faces somewhere far more specific. And every Jewish family knows exactly which one it is. Number 7. In the main living space of a Jewish home, on one particular wall, you will often find a decorative plaque. It might be an embroidered cloth, a framed paper cut, a painted tile. It usually features the Hebrew word Mizrach, meaning east, sometimes surrounded by images of lions, crowns, or the city of Jerusalem. Visitors see it and assume it is art. It is not. It is a compass. Jewish prayer is directional. The Talmud establishes that Jews living west of Jerusalem must face east when reciting the Amidah, the central standing prayer recited 3 times daily. In the United Kingdom, the direction toward Jerusalem is roughly east-southeast. The Mizrach marks this wall so anyone praying in the home knows exactly where to face. The practice traces to King Solomon and the dedication of the First Temple, approximately 957 BCE. Every synagogue in Britain is architecturally oriented so the ark faces Jerusalem. The Mizrach extends this directional precision into private homes. These plaques became a significant folk art form in Eastern Europe from the 1600s onward. Surviving examples can be found in the Jewish Museum London and the Victoria and Albert Museum. Some are cut from single sheets of paper with a complexity that rivals lace. A guest admires what appears to be a wall hanging. It is pointing at a city 2,000 miles away. An entire wall oriented toward Jerusalem is remarkable, but the object mounted on the doorframe of every room in the house contains something even more extraordinary. Number 6. You have almost certainly seen a mezuzah, a small decorative case, usually between 7 and 15 centimeters long, fixed to the right-hand side of a doorframe, tilted at a slight angle. Most people assume it is only on the front door. It is not. Jewish law requires a mezuzah on every doorframe in the house. Bedrooms, living rooms, kitchens, studies, hallways. The only exceptions are bathrooms and very small rooms. A typical 3-bedroom home will have 8 to 12 mezuzot, but the case is not the point. What matters is inside. Each mezuzah contains a hand-scribed parchment scroll called a KLF. On it are 2 passages from the Book of Deuteronomy, written by a certified scribe known as a sofer, using a quill and specially prepared ink on parchment from the skin of a kosher animal. The writing must be flawless. A single incorrect letter, a smudge, a crack in the ink renders the entire scroll invalid. It must be rewritten from the beginning. One scroll takes a trained scribe approximately 2 hours. A kosher mezuzah scroll in the United Kingdom costs between 30 and 120 pounds. A household with 10 door frames represents an investment of £300 to £1,200 in scrolls alone. The London Beth Din maintains a list of verified scribes who inspect scrolls for accuracy. Every scroll should be professionally examined twice within each 7-year period. A visitor brushes past a small ornament on the doorframe without a second thought. Behind that casing is a handwritten document produced under stricter quality controls than most legal contracts. A scroll on every doorframe is meticulous, but step into the kitchen, and the level of separation built into a Jewish home becomes something else entirely. Number 5. Walk into the kitchen of an observant Jewish household, and you will notice something unusual. There are 2 of everything. 2 sets of pots, 2 sets of pans, 2 sets of plates, 2 sets of cutlery, 2 chopping boards, 2 sponges. In many homes, there are 2 sinks, 2 ovens, sometimes 2 refrigerators. One set is for meat, the other is for dairy. They are color-coded, labeled, never mixed. The source is 3 separate verses in the Torah: Exodus chapter 23, Exodus chapter 34, Deuteronomy chapter 14. Each contains the same instruction: you shall not boil a kid in its mother's milk. The rabbis of the Talmud expanded this into a full system: separate utensils, separate surfaces, separate storage, and a mandatory waiting period between eating meat and dairy, typically 3 to 6 hours. In the Harrity neighborhoods of Stamford Hill in London, Broughton Park in Manchester, and Gateshead, kitchen renovations are designed around this system from the ground up. Estate agents confirm that a properly designed kosher kitchen is a significant factor in property valuation. On community forums, families discuss home purchases, and the kitchen layout is often the deciding factor. Can it fit 2 sinks? Is there space for 2 ovens? If a dairy spoon is accidentally used in a meat pot, the consequences are not trivial. An entire section of the Shulchan Aruch adjudicates these situations. In some cases, the pot, the food, and the spoon must all be discarded. A guest is offered a cup of tea. They do not realize that mug belongs to a parallel system. It has never once touched a surface that has been near a roast chicken. Duplicate kitchens are engineered for daily life. But one day a week, the engineering goes further. Into the light switches, the ovens, and even the toilet paper. Number 4. Every Friday afternoon, as the sun begins to set, something shifts inside an observant Jewish home. The pace changes, the fridge is stocked, the table is set, the food is cooked and waiting. And then, as the last daylight drops below the horizon, the house enters a different mode entirely. For the next 25 hours, observant Jews abstain from 39 categories of creative work. These categories are derived from the labor used to build the tabernacle, the portable sanctuary the Israelites carried through the wilderness. The Talmud lists them precisely: kindling fire, extinguishing fire, writing, erasing, building, demolishing, tearing. In modern terms, this means no light switches, no thermostats, no tearing paper, no cooking, no driving, no television, no telephones. The house must therefore be pre-configured before Shabbat begins. Every lamp is set on a timer. A metal sheet called a blech covers the hob to keep food warm without adjusting the flame. Light switches are covered or taped. Toilet paper is pre-torn and stacked. A large hot water urn is filled and switched on before sunset, left running for the full 25 hours. In Stamford Hill, local hardware shops stock Shabbat timers and hot plates year-round. In Gateshead, where the Jewish community has centered around the yeshiva since 1929, the Friday afternoon rhythm is visible from the street. Shopping done by early afternoon, houses glowing with preset lighting, families walking to synagogue as the sun drops. A Saturday visitor notices the house is warm, the lights on, food ready. But no one is touching a switch or a phone. The house is running on a system programmed 25 hours earlier. An entire home reconfigured every week is extraordinary. But once a year, some Jewish families build an entirely new room. On their roof, in their garden, or off their balcony, and then they take it down again 7 days later. Number 3. Every autumn, usually in late September or October, temporary structures appear in the gardens and balconies of Jewish homes. Walls of wood or canvas, roofs covered with loose branches, bamboo poles, or reed mats. The roofing material is called sechak. It must provide more shade than sunlight during the day, but it must be open enough to see the stars at night. This is a sukkah. The Book of Leviticus commands Jewish families to dwell in temporary booths for 7 days each autumn. The purpose is to remember the 40 years the Israelites lived in portable shelters during the Exodus from Egypt. Families eat inside it, socialize in it, study in it, some sleep in it. This has been done continuously for over 3,000 years. In the United Kingdom, where October weather is hardly cooperative, Jewish families have developed ingenious solutions. In Stamford Hill and Hendon, homes are built with retractable roof panels or permanent hinges on balcony railings designed to receive sukkah walls each year. Property listings in Jewish areas sometimes describe a garden as sukkah ready. On community forums, families in flats describe negotiating with freeholders for permission to build in shared gardens. These negotiations occasionally produce planning disputes in local council records. The construction standards are precise. The Shulchan Aruch specifies minimum wall heights, interior dimensions, and exact rules for the roofing material. It must be detached from the ground, made from something that once grew, not bundled so tightly that rain cannot enter. A sukkah is deliberately fragile. That is the theological point. Shelter is temporary. Permanence is an illusion. A neighbor sees what looks like a garden shed going up. It is a 3,000-year-old commandment built to precise specifications. It will be lived in for a week and then disappear. A temporary room you can see from the street is one thing. But stretched above the streets themselves, above entire neighborhoods, is something most people have never once looked up to notice. Number 2. Above the rooftops of Hendon and Golders Green, strung between lampposts and utility poles and building corners, there is a thin wire. It is made of fishing line or fine cable and it runs for miles. It encloses approximately 6.5 square miles across parts of the London borough of Barnet. It is nearly invisible from street level. Most people living within its boundary have no idea it is there. This is the Northwest London ERUV. On Shabbat, among the 39 prohibited categories of work is carrying objects in a public space. A handbag, keys, a book, a baby in a pram. Without an ERUV, an observant mother cannot push her child to synagogue. A family cannot bring food to a neighbor for a Shabbat meal. The ERUV changes this. By enclosing a defined area with a continuous boundary, it symbolically transforms a public domain into a shared private space. The physical world does not change. The legal status does. The Northwest London ERUV was established in 2003 after more than a decade of planning applications and public opposition. The process is documented in the Barnet Council archives and was covered by the Jewish Chronicle and local press. Every single Friday, a team of volunteers checks the entire perimeter to ensure no wire has snapped or sagged. If a single break is found and cannot be repaired before sunset, the ERUV is declared non-operational. Families who depend on it to leave their homes on Saturday are told they cannot carry anything outside their front door. Other ERUVim exist in Manchester, Leeds, Bournemouth, and Elstree. Each required its own planning process and weekly inspections. You may live inside one right now. You may walk beneath its wire every day. But for thousands of families, that thin line above the rooftops is the difference between being confined to their home on a Saturday and walking freely through their neighborhood with their children. An invisible wire above the street reshapes an entire community's week. But hidden beneath some Jewish homes and behind unmarked doors on quiet residential streets is the most private structure of all. Number 1. There is a door on a quiet street. No sign outside, no markings, No indication of what lies behind it. You could walk past it every day for 30 years and never know. Behind that door is a room. Inside the room is a small, deep pool, tiled in plain white or pale blue. The water is still. Steps descend into it. It looks like a miniature swimming pool. It is not. This is a mikveh, a ritual immersion pool governed by some of the most detailed construction laws in Jewish jurisprudence. The Talmud specifies that a mikveh must contain a minimum of 40 seah of water, approximately 300 to 500 liters. And this water must have arrived through natural means: rainwater, spring water, melted snow. It cannot have been pumped or piped by human action in its initial collection. The engineering required to meet this while satisfying modern building codes and health standards is extraordinary. Purpose-built mikvahot feature elaborate rainwater collection systems routed through the structure, combined with filtration and heating that maintain comfortable temperatures without violating the religious requirement. The mikveh is central to the laws of family purity. Married women immerse after their menstrual cycle. Converts immerse as the final act of conversion. New kitchen utensils purchased from non-Jewish sources are immersed before first use. According to the London Beth Din, Greater London maintains over a dozen community mikvahot. Some sit behind unmarked doors on residential streets. Others are beneath synagogues in rooms most congregants have never entered. Manchester has several, including one in Broughton Park. Gateshead's mikveh has served a community with continuous religious life since the 1880s. The Talmud makes a statement that reveals where the mikveh sits in communal life. A community must build a mikveh before it builds a synagogue. The ritual bath is more essential than a house of prayer. Archaeologists have uncovered mikvah at Masada, at Qumran, and throughout Jerusalem. These pools date to the Second Temple period, more than 2,000 years old. The structure predates the synagogue itself. There is a door on a quiet street in Hendon, another in Gateshead, another behind a synagogue in Leeds. No sign, no marking. Behind each one is a pool of rainwater collected according to laws older than the Roman Empire, maintained to standards that would satisfy a civil engineer, and used for a purpose so private that most neighbors will live out their entire lives on that street without ever knowing it is there.